Senator from Florida, Marco Rubio. Please join us. So we've been having this conversation, and what I think people ought to get out of this is conservatives are bringing their game, their A game, to fighting poverty, to restoring opportunity. We're trying to show how if you apply the principles that we know, that we believe, that created this country, to this seemingly intractable problem, to this inflexible mantra of a status quo in the war on poverty, and you apply our principles, we can make breakthroughs. And that's what's exciting about this, is because now you've got two parties in this game competing for ideas on how to fix this thing. This thing being, how do we restore the American idea that everybody in this country can make it? And how do we treat these problems at the root causes so we can break the cycle of poverty? And the two of you have taken a lot of leadership role in this. Marco, you've been working on this in the Senate. John, you've been not just talking the talk, you've been walking the walk. So, John, let's just start this off. I know this is something you care deeply about. I used to serve on the budget committee with John Kasich when he was chairman, which means I used to work for John Kasich. And we go back a long ways. I know this has been deep in your heart for a long time. What have you done in Ohio that has made a difference? And how do we translate that?
Well, the list is long, Paul. I mean, first of all, we're up 385,000 jobs, and that helps. But I think the other message is it's what Jack always talked about. I used to serve with Jack and had a great time with him, is that you have to have an attitude that everybody should have an opportunity to rise. So, let's just take a couple issues. Criminal justice reform, which we've enacted. We give judges more discretion now based on what a person did. Let's talk about banning the box. So you were a felon when
Explain the box.
You were a nonviolent felon. You go in to apply for a job in the state. There's a box here that says, check if you were a felon. You check it. We say, oh, thanks for coming in. We take your application and we throw it in the trash. Well, now we'll find out that you were a felon, but it would be the second or third interview when you could explain exactly where you were. And then collateral sanctions, where if you had in fact committed a crime but you've been rehabilitated, we give you a way back so you can get a job in a lot of these professions where you're currently not permitted to get one. We've also enforced the laws in Ohio on set-asides, because we want minorities to go to develop entrepreneurship so they can rise. So, and give you a good example, in Cleveland, we're building a road from the downtown Cleveland to the Cleveland Clinic, and we've invited the minority community to participate in the building of that road, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure they have a piece of that action and that they have a say in where that road goes so they don't get blocked off, and they're just thrilled about that. We've reformed the public schools in Cleveland with an African-American Democrat mayor and the whole community, and now the schools are working better, and that was a big, big lift. So all these things, and there's many, many more, the programs we're doing to rehab people on drugs. We have a program in our prisons now where we have moved our addiction services into the prisons and then release those folks into the community where they're supervised, and the recidivism rate is less than 20%. That's a miracle. And then at the same time, our recidivism rate in the prisons is about half the national average, because we give people an opportunity to work their way out. But Tim, if they're a gangbanger, and they create violence in the prison, we're going to throw away the key. But everybody deserves a chance. Everybody deserves an opportunity. With people who are in their 50s who lose their job, they live in the shadows too. We have adult education. We have new programs in the schools now where if you are likely to be a dropout, we're going to carve out an individual education path for you where you will not drop out and you will get a high school diploma.
I was wondering what the hell is a gangbanger.
We now in the schools, we try to educate people for jobs that exist, not educate them in a vacuum. I mean, this and many, many more things. And the developmentally disabled, we're now integrating them into the workforce. We can get them out of a sheltered workshop. We can get them in a hospital setting, a grocery, a Walmart, or whatever, where they can perform, where they can feel that their life has meaning, and their parents love this. I mean, the list goes on and on, but it is an attitude of economic growth, and then when you're growing, everybody has to feel as though they have a chance to rise. And a rising tide does lift all boats. Welfare reform, You go into a welfare office, you got more caseworkers than you have if you're in a hospital. And what we've done is we've narrowed the caseworker to one. We've invited businesses into the welfare office so that when you're getting your aid, we're also going to train you for jobs that exist, because the guy that has, or the woman that has the job is sitting next to you. So it's all an opportunity to help people to go, and we follow the motto of my mother's. It's a sin not to help people who need help, but it's equally a sin to continue to help people who need to learn how to help themselves. And that's the motto we kind of follow, and it's working.
Marco, you have a tremendous life story and certainly have great respect for your parents and what they overcame. Sometimes people believe that we as Republicans don't know any poor people. And unfortunately, every time I go home, see my family, I walk into a neighborhood that is still mired in poverty. And what I hear in neighborhoods,
it is true, there will be a choice of 3 new Supreme Court judges in this coming election year.
It's a leg up.
The next
it's
president
more
will
training, more education.
Opportunity.
Empowering the individual seems to be the solution.
Justice Court judges in there.
And first of all, I think that's why it's important and it's so good that the Republican Party has candidates running for president like John Kasich, whose father was a mailman, and my father, who was a bartender, and others who worked for a living and struggled to provide for their families running for president. Because one thing is to read about these things, another is to live them, as John had, as I have, as you have, as Paul has as well, in their lives. This is important. And let me just back up and say, John Kasich just described the things they're doing in the state.
Yep,
one of the things I hope to do at the federal government is find more ways to take all the money we spend on anti-poverty and turn it over to John Kasich and governors like that at the state level. I think they come to support
Rubio will deport my family. Deport me. No way. I'm documented in here to say deport me. No way. I'm documented in here to say deport me. No way. I'm documented in here to say deport me. No way. I'm documented in here to say deport me. No way. I'm documented in here to say deport me.
What we do is we'll take federal anti-poverty money and turn it over to states and local communities. The innovation's never going to come from the federal government. John, you've been involved in state and federal work. You know that only at the state level are you going to get, and at the state and local level, are you get the kind of innovations that we see described here today in Ohio and other states across the country.
By the way, Marco, when you went to college in the 70s, it's always good for a nice protest every once in a
I thought about handling it the way another candidate does, but I thought it would be, it's not my
take over here, but let me just tell you. You're talking on television this morning.
We have 41 minutes.
Marco, I saw a crowd booing this woman who was being escorted. That's not the spirit of Jack Kemp.
That's right.
I mean, we are people that can tolerate differences and respect people.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is not the Republican Party.
That's right.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Back to Marco.
Take your time.
Good job. If I
God,
can take a
it's the
step
most
back
fun
for a
we've
moment and
had
say
all
that
morning.
the reason why I love free enterprise is because it's the only economic model in the history of the world where you can make poor people
Rubio's trying
richer
to
without
get
making
behind
rich
this
people
moment.
poorer. In essence, it allows everyone to move ahead. So in a free enterprise economy, if there is poverty, it is because there has been an impediment to allowing free enterprise to work in people's lives. And we face a lot of those impediments in the 21st century, and that's what the block granting of the Opportunity Fund that you talked about, the Flex Fund that I've talked about, is designed to eliminate. For example, if you are a child born into a broken family, in an unstable home, in a dangerous neighborhood, in substandard housing, in a school that's failing in your community, where the people on the street corners are drug dealers or not good role models, you've got 6 strikes against you. Unless something dramatic happens to shake up that dynamic, statistics say you are going to struggle to get ahead. And so we need to be focusing our assistance on breaking that model. Right. And again, I don't think you're ever going to get that from the federal government. There is no way the federal government can design innovative and creative programs in a one-size-fits-all approach that fits the entire country. So I think it behooves us to say we care about poverty, and we care so much that we are going to make the funds available to those out there who know how to make a difference at the state and local level. And I got to tell you, the difference depends on where you are in life. We have in this country the problem I just described. We have non-traditional students. And you also talked about job training. This is an important part of it. People in their 20s and 30s. Take the example of a single mother who makes $10 an hour as a receptionist, and she's raising 2 kids on her own. The only way she's ever going to get a raise, the only way she's ever going to get, I'm going to keep talking to you. The only way she's ever going to get a raise is if she's out of school.
Shut up! Your dream doesn't include me! Your American 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 dream doesn't include me! And none of it! Documented it! None of it! Documented it! Documented it! None of it! Documented it! None of it! Documented it!
Respect individuals, respect communities, civil society, state, local government, and then just provide resources. That's what when we talk with governors about blocking it, we talk with senators about giving resources back to communities, loosening the strings. That doesn't mean we care less. That doesn't mean we don't have ideas. That means what we're trying to do is liberate people who are there fighting poverty eye to eye, soul to soul, person to person, with the power to do it, to actually change and affect. And yes, there are resources. So is that basically what you're suggesting with your